We will now present our Hall of Fame. They will be presented by our high school and middle school reps, Kim Stewart and Lana Yenne, starting with Kim.
You're up first. Talk about.
I did shower. You don't have to go that part. I didn't even know this person until I heard her give her Hall of Fame speech a couple of years. How many of you were there for that Hall of Fame speech? Was that the best ever? This is, if you ever get a chance, this is a pretty cool person to work with right here. So, before I get going though, I do want anybody here who has been inducted to the WACA Hall of Fame to stand, please. Come on. Where they at? Thank you. And if you get an opportunity, right outside here to the right are the perpetual trophies with everybody's face and that on there. And I do want to really thank somebody this year that kind of took a chance with me. If any of you know Louis Bremond from National Achievers, since I've been around, he has always donated a letterman's coat to people here, which we'll give away, Lana and I will give away tomorrow. But he also took on supplying now the awards and perpetuals for the Hall of Fame, and he promised me he would keep doing that. And he's come up with some pretty cool awards. I'm not going to lie, these things are awesome. In fact, one of the former members asked if they could trade theirs in for the one we got now. But so anytime you see Louis, just tell him thank you. He's not looking for any applause or anything like that, but I did want to give him a good shout out today along that line. So, are we ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm going to introduce somebody who in 1983 was our president and was one of the first inductees to the Hall of Fame, and also introduced me to straw towers in the 8th grade. And he is going to induct our first member to our Hall of Fame tonight. So Marty Fortin, can you come on up, please?
So one of the advantages to having gone to more WACA conferences than anybody else sitting here is that Stu came up to me during dinner and said, I forgot to ask you, would you induct Kathy to the Hall of Fame? And I was so proud and pleased. Of course I couldn't say no. And I have been to a lot, Coley. I think I've been to 8 of these conferences before you're born. So I've seen a lot during that time. And one of the things that is a constant in all of these conferences is the dedication I see from all of you for students and love for students. And so it makes me proud to be able to introduce one that really epitomized that. My boss once said, if you don't come to the table, you may end up on the menu. And I've always lived by that, and one that epitomizes that is Kathy Parker. Kathy was first for students and always for students. Kathy was with us when we built the first Building Leaders for Life curriculum. She coordinated a conference so far back, and a twist for her fall conference, went back when it was WASC, we had a teacher strike at the same time, and she carried that out. She opened Edmonds Woodway High School. Makes me someone that's been my friend now for a quarter of a century, and I'm so pleased to introduce and induct Kathy Parker to the Hall of Fame.
Nobody would see it, but I showed you anyway.
Just so you see that. We'll get that back to your table for you. Isn't that cool?
That's cool. Stu. Just a minute, Stu. This guy, I watched him get started at Mount Lake Terrace High School. And look what he's done for this group. I tell you, that's what leadership is. That's what sharing your personal stuff that you have in you with the teachers, the administrators, and the young adults that are in your school. Stu is a great one, and he's still around. So I was going to say a few things. Excuse me. I have trouble with my neck right now, so it keeps me so I can't talk quite right. But first of all, thank yous. Thank you to Marty and Sue Fortin, who put up with me and all my calls. Is this the right way to do that? What do you think about that? Why can't I go to a conference? well, I'd gone too many times, needed to give other people a chance. And, that took a little doing for them to tell me no. But they said yes, far more times than that. To the WACA board for putting this beautiful conference on. You've grown. And I see a lot of young new faces, and it's wonderful. See Tammy Caldwell, she's been around a while too. Ed Bailey. Ed Bailey sitting over here. Ed, we were buddies back then in Wesco. We kept that place going, didn't we? I know it. It was the best conference around. And then Kevin Judkins. I didn't come to Woodway until 1981, and he graduated in 79. But he was a person, a young adult at that time, that the school was very proud of. And he later on came into the Woodway Hall of Fame. And now it's in the Edmonds Woodway Hall of Fame. To my parents, my wonderful parents, both gone, but they gave me the desire to be the best that I could be. They were immigrants from Germany, and I spoke German until I went to the first grade. And then I went on and got to teach my mom how to read and to write English. And that was a good thing too. My dad, he taught me how to have perseverance and to be patient. Because I wanted things to be done right away. He wanted them to be done right, and that takes patience. So to them, I give my honor. To my family, Jennifer and Nick Angelos. Jennifer's our second daughter. She's been involved in lots of things for activities. She and I were in Campfire for 10 years, where I was advisor for several things in Campfire, so I kept busy when I didn't go out to work, because I didn't come back to working in schools until about 1979. I stayed home, lived on one salary, and we did just fine. So, and the kids were all in activities. And not last, but because it's the best person, and that's my husband Dale, sitting down there, who waited 10 long years before he found me, and we became husband and wife for 56 years. I have to tell you, he's got more Hall of Fames than I could ever live up to in all kinds of sports, Huskies, Seattle Pacific, anything that's on the WIAA. He's called Coach, and Caldwell, you know that. It's Coach. And anybody who calls our house says, is Coach there? Now that's an honor to a human being. It's a great thing, and he enjoys it too. Okay, then, they're not here in this room, and there might be some that I don't see and know. But all those that were young adults, when I was trying to get an activities program started at our school, they're out there. There's one young man in this town who lost his father in the 9th grade. When he was a senior, he ran for ASB president, but I had the best group of guys running that year. Every position was filled by a male. And this guy lost. But that man is in this town right now, and I tried to reach him, couldn't. And he is one that started the Liberty Bottle Works in this town, which maybe you have gotten some of their aluminum cans, that you drink water out of and things, because he serviced REI and also Nike. So he's in this town. And he did something. He came to me when he lost, and he said, what am I going to do? I want to do something. I said, do you like to create something? He said, yeah. He came with a plan, and we did we took a half day of school. We had to go through the teachers and all that. And we had about 50 teachers who each took on a room where they would either be working with spelling, or they would be playing cards, bridge, or whatever, powder puff football, basketball games, but every student signed up for something, and every teacher that really could helped. And that young man organized it. You know, you give chances to kids who want to do something, but we also give chances to kids that sit on the bench, like in a painting for a homecoming time. They sit there, don't know what to do. Their mom dropped them off and said, get busy. So I took one of my really quiet young ladies, and I said, see what you can do, get to know her. Young girl, she started to come and she became in Spirit Club. Not a horribly big club, but she did. That's what we do, isn't it? We try to find ways to get our kids to be motivated, to express themselves and to come out of their fears, to come out of the put-downs that they get. We try to do that. I tell you, right now, give yourselves a pat on the back, because every one of you do that. And if you don't like doing that, there is lots of other places that you can go to find a really good job that satisfies your passion. Because as I stand here in a candid way, there probably is somebody that just is really tired of this. And you know what? There is a better place for you that you will like. And we need to have a little bit of craziness in us to do this. We have to be able to stay up at night. We don't get home till 7 or 8 from our ASB activities, and you still have your classroom stuff to do, you know, and some of those things take a lot of time. Getting supplies and whatever. I was a home ec teacher, child development, and also had life skills for 12 years, teaching kids who were impaired in very different ways how to cook for themselves and do that kind of thing. I brought my leadership kids in to come, if they had a free period, to come in and help them so that they would know what kids that like them, you know, they could work together with them. Well, I better get on here. When I got this invitation, I said, well, what is it? So I started to think and started to reflect on my stories and my thoughts that are in my memory book. And they started to pour out. And if you're here until midnight tonight, I got lots more to tell you. But two characteristics stood out to me, and that was, I really believe I respected every one of those young kids that came in, whether they were smelly from coming from a biology lab with formaldehyde or whatever it happened to be, or one that the kids thought was really goofy and nuts. But there were two young men that wanted to become president of the the USA, ASB, and we had to bring the parents in because his grades were falling. I said, I see this, I see that in that kid. Let's give him another chance, another quarter. He's gone on. He's been on what we just have, the Oscar Awards committee for doing certain work. He's there. He's a leader. We've got to give kids a chance, even though they don't sometimes measure up to what we call our standards, or what the principals or the teachers in the school think that are the standards. We see possibility, right? We teach respect. And speaking of respect, this winter we had a little bit of snow back on the coast, and I went to see my grandson's basketball game. I started to slip on the ice, and you can see my condition. That's not the thing for me to be doing. What happened? Two kids came up. My head was down, and I couldn't see them. And I saw this hand come out. Ma'am, can I help you? Where are you going? I said, I want to go into the gym. They walked me across that plaza at Mariner High School and down into the thing. That's respect. And I saw that time and time again from the kids at that school. They would come and open up the door and whatever. And it helps to have a cane that looks like this. It's got butterflies on it because people are attracted to something that's kind of different. And they'll come and they'll help. And when they do that, I really take a look at the kids who are high school kids who are in the grocery store. I said, where are you going to school? What are you doing that's fun at that school? I've not given up on these young people, even though my body tells me, stay home and stay in bed. No, that's not for me. So, and the other thing that I found out when I was reminiscing was encouragement. This night, there's been lots of encouragement here, even to me, folks. You are so bright. You are so smiley. You're warm. You're happy. And you might be crying inside. I don't know that. But with this number of people, there's some of you that have a little sad corner in your heart. And for you, I offer my prayers. Don't know you by name. But we do all need encouragement. And kids, especially today, need to be encouraged to become the best that they can be. Not what their parents want them to be, not what the others, but with parental guidance. I am firm on that, and that there needs to be guidance, but they need to be encouraged so that they can be what they want to be. The thing that I found from Dag Hammarskjöld, who was the United Nations leader, was this: to all that has been, I give thanks. And for me, I give all my thanks to those that maybe have remembered me from 25 years ago. I give you thanks. And I give you thanks for who you are now, who are going to continue for many years from now. To all that will be, when you hand in your keys at the end of the school year, and maybe you're coming back and start a whole new year, maybe you're not, maybe you're going to retire. But to all of those who will doing that, I say yes, go. Go with your passion. Go with the thing that leads you to give of yourself. In giving, you refill your own self. It never you never get down to the bottom if you continue to give with love. Thank you so much, and I feel it a privilege to have been asked to be on this Hall of Fame. I give my son-in-law and my grandsons a special credit, if you'll pass it on to them, because they duped me into going up to Marysville, that they were going to put on a presentation for that conference that was up there. And I canceled 2 doctor's appointments to do that. Because I wanted to see what they were doing with leadership. So anyway, thanks to them as well. Thank you.
I have to tell you just a quick one. When I became the activity coordinator, was asked to do it, I was sitting with, and I hate the word secretary, but my co-worker, and was going over the calendar with me, and she showed me this weekend in October, and I said, what is this? And she says, we got to take 10 to 12 kids to this conference in Yakima. I said, no, I'm going to the Husky game in Notre Dame. She goes, no, you're not. You're going to WASC. And I said, no, you don't understand. I go to one away. You're going. Yeah, I found myself in Eisenhower High School in the faculty lounge watching the running back for the Huskies run and jump into my brother-in-law and nephew's lap as they scored there at that point. And when I got home, I was still freaking out about stuff, and all of a sudden I saw this large book. And I opened it up, and it kind of went, ta-da! Have you ever had that feeling? And that young lady's name was on the front of it, and it absolutely made everything okay. How many of you have ever seen that Building Leaders handbook or used that handbook that saved your life about 500 times? Yep, okay, good. I just wanted to make sure we knew that. So, who we got next, boss? That's what I thought. Also, when I started out working in this gig, I guess it was kind of considered the godfather of WESCO. If you've never been to a WESCO inter-high meeting or a WESCO inter-high conference, because of people like Kathy and this next recipient, we are still going strong today because of their lead. And we meet 3 to 4 times a year. We still put on a conference every spring. We still try to carry on the tradition that these individuals started. So at this time, if Mr. Bittinger could come up, and he's going to talk about our next recipient.
All right. I'm shorter than all of them. So in keeping with the theme for tonight, I need to find a quote on my Tim. Let it go? Okay. All right. I got that because I could beam up. In keeping with the theme for the night, last century, in 1985, I got hired at Everett High School. And I've been very blessed because the activity coordinator there was Mr. Ed Bailey. And so I just want you to know his name right away and let you know that I'm just going to give you a few snippets of stories so that you can help me honor him. If we did them all, we'd be here till tomorrow, right? So, like I say, I'm blessed because as I started at Everett High School, this young pup, I was willing to help with activities and help out with whatever needed to be done. My wife and I chaperoned a dance the first year I was a teacher, and Ed was one of those people that said, "Hey, you want to do stuff? Yes, come do stuff." Now, what he didn't know was that he would have to come down the ramp and have security release my wife and I because they thought we were students trying to get into the dance early. But that's kind of the way things went. And all through the years, Ed had been a person that just says, "Hey, John, would you like to help? John, could you give us a hand with this?" Always welcomed me in to offer whatever services I could offer at that time, and I'm truly grateful for that. 1996, in the fall, he said, "Hey, John, you want to come to Eisenhower?" Stu, you were just talking about that. Eisenhower, we're going to, in Yakima, we're going to go to this WASC conference. And I said, cool. I said, what do you want me to do? Chaperone? What is it? He goes, you know what, just come along and take some notes. And I said, well, okay, and, anything else I could, no, just take some notes, see what you think, and kind of give me your observations at the end. And then, of course, at the end of WASC, the WASC conference, as they always do, they roll out the next year's host. And, of course, they said, in 1997, WASC will be at Everett High School. And there we go. So my first WASC was with that wonderful group, with Everett High and Wesco and Ed Bailey leading the whole thing, and it was a wonderful experience. I probably should have started this whole thing about these little snippets talking about the people that are seated at the table, because they are ever present in Ed's conversations and his discussions. He always talks about his wife Ann. His daughter Jessica's with us. Grandson Nolan and Ben is out there somewhere. You got Ben? Okay, cool. It's the reason why I brought this up with me, because at that table there are none of these guys that don't have their heads or feet bitten off. So I'm saving this one. So his family is always there, and of course that's wonderful. Last thing before I give this wonderful award to Ed, kind of his mantra. You will be surrounded by people in your life who say, "Oh, you can't do that," or "No, it won't work because." Ed's not that person. Ed has always impressed me as being a person who says, "You want to do that? Okay, how can we make that happen?" And no more powerful words can I think of from an activity coordinator. So with that, just a few little glimpses into my past with Ed. I just wanted to introduce him and say congratulations, Ed.
Thanks. All right. John is too kind. Where else are you going to find workers in your school like John Bittinger? We were blessed in the Wesco, and I'm sure they still are. Kathy Parker, Mel Kellen, I think of some of the mentors that I had, and I was blessed, and I can't help but smile when I think about some of the things we had going back in the day, and it was so much fun. I look around the room and I see a lot of those people still here, and it makes me feel good. I really like the energy in the room. I'm really pleased to be able to go into the Hall of Fame with Kathy.
I'm also excited about being on a wall with Stu and Kevin Judkins and not have it be at the post office. I think that that's exciting as well. I had a first this year. I got a call from Stu, and I've probably been 25, 26, 27 conferences. This is the first conference I've ever come to with a pack and play. I really was blessed. My daughter and sons, she's a neonatal nurse at Swedish Hospital, and she was able to have the time off and bring the boys over and share this with my wife Ann, who's been with me for 43 years, and it means a lot to me to share this with them. I want to let you know that if you are not an ARP carrying card member right now, someday you will be. And I look at the hands that the conference is in, the students in the state of Washington are in. I see some of the quality people coming into education, and I'm really enthused. One of the young teachers that came up in Lake Stevens, Dan Alderson, had a chance to visit with. Dan's over here, and he's a great example to me. I got a chance to work with Dan at Lake Stevens. I see the passion that he brings and the other people who are here bring to education today, and I am really enthused. I'm excited about our grandchildren going into the high schools. In 1966, I got called into the office at Chief South High School, and Swede Lindquist was there. Do you remember Swede, Marty? Swede said, "Ed, I need you to do me a favor." And I said, "What's that, Swede?" He says, "We're going to have this thing called an inner high, and I need you to go." I didn't know what an inner high was in 1966, never heard of it, but he wanted me to go out and get a few other students and join him, get in his car. Think about this, 1966, we got in his car, and it was kind of the tobacco smoke, get the cigar smell out of it, and go to West Seattle High School and have an inner high, and then we in the spring we had 2 other meetings, and that was my first introduction to inner high. And Swede Lindquist was a great mentor while I was in high school, and his parting thought every time I saw him, he says, "Make White Center proud of you, Ed." If you know White Center, you'll know White Center's proud. It's been a 40-year career. I retired in 2012 after 40 years, and I was blessed to be a part of this organization. I was blessed to have Marty and Susan take me under their wing, and Kathy Parker and folks like her, to spend some time trying to do good things for kids. I think we did. I think we had a great time, and we really enjoyed ourselves in the process. Getting people like John Bittinger and others involved in the process was all the more fun, because I see those ripples in the pond continuing to pay dividends for students throughout the state, and that makes me really happy. Thank you very much for the honor of the Hall of Fame, and I look forward to many more years. Thanks.
So I told you this high school rep thing was a cool gig, didn't it? I mean, you get to meet people like this, which leads me to, I know you folks know people out there that have meant a lot to you in your life. Make sure you go to wacaonline.org and vote or send in your nominations for those people. That's the only way we're going to know, and that we're going to get people out there from all over the state to honor like we should and like we are tonight. Last person tonight ended up being, or helping me to get one of the quotes I have on my desk that I never ever move, which is, "It'll all work out. It'll all work out." And my first couple of years when I finally got talked into doing leadership camp at a new camp, that started out as Mount Naname and ended up as Mount Triumph, with Leanne Donnelly and the other individual who, just being in one of the nighttime meetings to hear them spar is worth its weight in gold. But at this time, I'm going to have Sue Metzler who's going to come up and talk about Greg Barker.
It is hard for me to express the honor that I have being able to have the privilege to introduce one of my mentors. That's the thing, I think, there are things that tie us together in this room, and I think one of the top is that we all have had people who have come before us that have been mentors and inspirational to us. And the cool thing for me is I still get to work with Greg Barker. I could tell you about Greg, the ASB guy. He was at Marysville Pilchuck doing ASB and leadership. He opened Auburn Riverside High School, and he's now at Snohomish as an assistant principal who gets it. He understands it. He's one of those administrators who's awesome, and he understands activities, and he's always there for activities. Or I could tell you about Greg, the camp director, but we won't tell those stories out of camp. But he, along with Leanne Donnelly, founded Mount Triumph and started that camp, and it's an amazing, empowering camp. I could tell you about Greg Barker, the AWSP Leadership Committee person. But it's more important to me that you know about Greg Barker, the human being. I think we had to maybe force him to be here tonight. He does not, smiles and nods. He does not like this kind of recognition. He's a very quiet, calm person. The first year, be good, Leanne. He's very organized. My first year at camp, I was blown away by his amazing administrative style, where he was so organized and he told us everything we needed to do, and we had it all, and we knew what was expected, and we had the timetable. But when it came time to teach, he got out of our way and gave us the freedom to do what was best for kids. He trusts us. He's very patient. He can be a little scary. I think in the 12 years I've been at camp, there's one time he's had to talk to one of my campers, and I made the unfortunate choice to have my back against the dining room. He was down the ramp, kid was between us, I had nowhere to go. But the thing about Greg is that he knows what needs to be done for kids. He understands, and I am just so beyond thrilled that he's being inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight. Greg?
So I don't like to talk in these things. I do activities so the kids can. So thank you. That wasn't enough, I was told. Thank you very much. I know the people that have been inducted, and I know of the people who've been inducted, and it's more than humbling. And when you're last, everybody's taken all your lines. Ryan, Kathy, all of you. I just don't have anything to say. So it is very much an honor, and I can't believe it. I have lots of people, but I do have my Triumph family. I have my Wesco family, I have my Marysville family, my Snohomish family who drove over. I have my family who I'm now disowned by my daughter, who found out we came without her, but she's at college. But I do appreciate everything we do. I think we call it, well, I still go to school. I don't go to work. Although my wife always says, you're going to work again and you get to go to all those activities. She calls it vacation. I just call it opportunity. I think when Sue mentioned that I have the opportunity to work with the AWSP, the Principals Association, and the Leadership Committee, I get to see it from the balcony view of everything that all of you do, and it's absolutely amazing. And I've got to travel with lots of people. Susan and I work very closely together, traveled all over the nation, and I can still say that Washington State, we're the #1 leadership state when it comes to student activities. I don't have to be politically correct and say we're in the top 5. We are the top school, or the top state for student activities, and it's what all of you do. So I'm just thankful, I'm honored, I'm not worthy. I really feel that, but I do appreciate the honor of being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And thank you very much.